Welcome! We've got a lot to discuss. Hello, my little filmer dudes. My name is Ivan Montero, and thank you for joining me in my journey to watch every movie ever created. Not really, but we are gonna get close. Warning, this is my spoiler-filled review for Deadpool and Wolverine. So if you've not seen the movie and you care about spoilers, then don't watch it. But if you don't care about spoilers or if you have seen the movies, proceed at your own risk. So if you've seen my non-spoiler review, you'll know that I had issues with the movie, mainly in its writing. I mean, I had a good time regardless, but there are a few things that just didn't really stick the landing with me. And there are other things that just flat out did not work. We're going to discuss each one in this review, but before I do want to reiterate that I did like this movie and I did enjoy it. I just feel like the bottom kind of came out from under them just a little bit, just a tiny little bit, like their feet caved in, but they're fine. They got themselves out a little bit, but like maybe one foot still stuck in. Just wasn't really good foundation. That's what I'm saying. The story and budget are really where this movie falters for me, and I truly think that there was an entirely different movie from the get-go, and they had to pivot. And pivots were made for various reasons. But just how I can't unsee COVID looming over Spider-Man No Way Home every time I watch the film, wishing we could have had the original plan if it weren't for just very valid health reasons. Just like that film, I can't unsee the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes looming over Deadpool and Wolverine, and boy, does it loom. Interestingly, it always seems to be the multiverse films that choose to bring past members of different studios that always get the shorthand of natural events. Again, No Way Home, The Flash, and this movie were all victims of some real life, real world event that prevented things from happening, and the movies were not as good as they could have been. Despite all of that, again, I did enjoy this movie for what it was, and I do want to give you my rating before we begin so that you guys know where I stand with the rest of the film, and so you guys are not angry. You can go ahead and be angry. So you know, I'm saying the movie is good, I'm just pointing out the flaws. 8.7 out of 10. B+ is a solid grade, especially with a story this lacking and this cliche and uncompelling. But let me remind you that other bigger reviewers have given this movie a lower rating but have enjoyed it much more than I did. I'm just looking at this objectively, because I understand what the movie's goals were, and I respect and I appreciate the movie for what it is and what it wants to be, what it tries to be. But an 8.7 is as far as I can go. We're also going to start with what I did like, and then we're going to move into what I didn't like, and then we're going to finally move into the mixed. And from there, I don't know, I guess proceed at your own enjoyment. So what I did like: the action. Again, I did have a great time watching this film, especially during the action scenes, which, if you truly know me, I hate gratuitous action scenes. Aquaman had no reason having that many action scenes, especially used as transitions from one normal scene to the next. But Sean Levy doesn't do that here, I don't think. All of the action scenes were very, very well done, and there are a few fight scenes that I wish we could have seen a little bit more of, like Sabretooth versus Wolverine fight, which apparently the whole thing was spoiled for people. But not me, I thought that fight was pretty cool. It was just very short. But come on, we weren't even given a Hulk versus Wolverine fight? It was just teased.
Naughty, naughty, you teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
I found that to be insulting to the fans, not gonna lie. You're just gonna tease us, but you're not gonna deliver? How do you just tease Wolverine versus Hulk? Not even 10 seconds. We got 10 seconds of Johnny Storm. Couldn't we get just 10 seconds of Wolverine versus Hulk? Recreating the comic book panel though, that was pretty cool. So I guess it was fine. But the rest of the action scenes wow. As an aspiring filmmaker, I watched these scenes in pure awe, thinking, how did Levy come up with that stuff? Of course, it's a whole team that goes into it, that works on these action scenes, but who comes up with it? Oh, it was so good. Now, not all of the action scenes were great. There's one that we're going to talk about later, but the two standouts for me were both Wolverine versus Deadpool fights. So I guess Deadpool versus Wolverine fights. Both of them were fantastic, but the one, my favorite one was the car fight scene, which I think people were saying the one in front of the Fox logo was their favorite, but the car fight scene has so many layers for me. That whole scene, that whole sequence, I think that made the movie for me. That whole bit, it was a lot of show, there was not tell, and I think that really built upon the characters, and the writing at that point just really showed itself. And I think that's one of the, this is me speaking about that scene now freely, because I really do admire that scene. In that scene, Hugh Jackman's acting was so surreal, and the build up to it too. It was actually really well done. I thought, what were we doing? It seems a little awkward because they're just sitting in a car, just going a little bit back and forth, but that was the point. And when Logan stops the car and starts railing into Deadpool about his life, I was like, damn, Logan, stop. But he didn't, and boy, are we glad he didn't, because Deadpool's look, I mean, that's acting. Ryan Reynolds had a mask on, but he fully communicated what Deadpool was feeling through his body language. That acting is about giving and about taking, and both Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds gave and took from each other, and it was glorious, dudes. Oh my gosh. The deep hurt was communicated through the mask, through the full bodysuit from Ryan. That was so good. All was left to do but to fight. The fight scene that preceded, it's a transitional fight scene, but it's a narratively transitional fight scene. It made sense. Plus the insane innuendo that is the entire scene. What a beautiful joke. I laughed, it was such a good film. In fact, I cheered a lot during this movie. I laughed a lot as well during this movie, sometimes obnoxiously, especially the TVA guy calling HR and just being it was so funny. Interesting side note, I definitely relate to Deadpool a lot in this movie, more so than the other Deadpool movies, because his humor this time around was more clever than just gratuitous. There were points to the humor, and not just to be gross or to be vulgar. It was spot on. Not to do my own hoard, but it really did remind me of my personal settings with my friends and at work, because it definitely had made variations of these jokes in person with my friends and at work and with strangers. So I very much saw myself during these moments, which made me wonder who I am as an individual. But I really did find these jokes to be, similar to Deadpool jokes of past, but far more clever, like I said. Or rather, smarter. But then the new jokes were also really smart, and sometimes they were very on the nose, but for the most part, they were totally true and very funny. Deadpool's side comment to Logan, you're kind of joining in at a low point, was everything and a half. All the jokes were very well executed, and the movie felt very in line with the franchise as a whole. Just some of them were a little on the nose, some of them were just giggle-inducing, but a lot of them were laugh-out-loud worthy. And Nicepool and DOGPOOL, oh my gosh! I love dogs so much, especially the ugly ones. So I don't know why, but they're actually adorable to me. I just find them so adorable. So DOGPOOL to me was just, you're so cute. I'm like Cassie Lang from Ant-Man and the Wasp, or like for the first Ant-Man movie.
He's so ugly. I love him.
That's me with dogs. Apparently, so many of you hated DOGPOOL, and honestly, I hate all of you who do. Because one, how dare you be mean to a dog? Two, who the f are you? And three, why are you being mean to a freaking dog whose whole point was that it's so ugly? It's the Deadpool dog variant of Deadpool. DOGPOOL. Not gonna lie, it makes me upset. I'm talking about this now, I'm having really good fun time talking about this, but when I was writing this, I was very upset. I was actually angry. And I actually still am angry because it's still perplexing. You can go ahead and hate dogs all you want. It doesn't really matter to me. But the specifically weird hate on DOGPOOL for being ugly, again, who the f are you? Ugly assholes. Just saying, so many people on this world ugly, but you don't hear me complaining about it. Every single day, I'm a server. I see ugly people every day. So don't be mean to dogs, and I won't be mean to you. Okay, if I didn't lose you for that, then let's talk about Nicepool, who I thought was hilarious, especially when it was revealed that he cannot regenerate. I was low-key expecting Deadpool to just behead Nicepool because he really wanted DOGPOOL. That's what I would have done if I were Deadpool. I wanted DOGPOOL, and I wanted to behead Nicepool. I was like, well, if I can't have him, you can't have him because I'm gonna have him. Or her. DOGPOOL is actually a girl, and she's beautiful, and she will be mine. But the fact that Wade just simply did not want to get shot and used Nicepool as a human shield, thinking that he could regenerate, and turns out that he couldn't because it's Nicepool, and nice guys do end last. I did like that subtle joke in there. But then Logan using DOGPOOL as another shield against the Deadpool Corp, and it was not only just a funny concept, but Hugh Jackman absolutely sold it. He nailed it. He nailed the look as he walked across the screen. So freaking hilarious. We'll talk about the Deadpool Corp when we get to the what I didn't like section later. Ooh. Needless to say, the acting in this movie was really all well done from the four main leads, Ryan Reynolds, Matthew McFadyen, Hugh Jackman, Emma Corrin. Everyone brought their A game. However, I will say that that's pretty much all I can say about these characters. That they were good, the actors did great, but there were many things I did not like about these characters, unfortunately. But that's not to say that these actors did a poor job. On the contrary, they did fantastic. The writing was just a tad weak and could have used a couple once-overs to really get their motivations correctly. That's of course aside from Wolverine and Deadpool, kind of. I do think that theirs could have been, you know, a little bit stronger still, but they were fine. But Paradox and Cassandra Nova, oof. Paradox, I can understand that he is supposed to be a bureaucratic white guy with a lot of power, with very little patience, and he just wants to do whatever he wants, and he doesn't want to spend that much time on things or that much money on things or have that much quality control. He just wants to get a lot of quantity done. He's supposed to be Bob CHAPEK, if you're really catching my drift. I caught on to that immediately. As soon as Paradox suddenly went cartoonish and said, because I want to, I knew, oh, he's supposed to be Bob Paycheck. But that makes Paradox's motivations so entirely weak and flimsy. I don't know, man, but Paradox has got to be one of the worst comic book villains ever. Again, revealing his plan, his motives to Deadpool immediately after trying to trick Deadpool into joining his cause felt very whiplashy and very poor writing in my opinion, and I did not like that. I thought it was dumb. Did not sit well because it wasn't compelling at all. Paradox barely showed any real threat to the whole story whatsoever. He was just childish. And honestly, how long did he think he was going to get away with this? Possibly a very long time, considering the fact that Hunter B-15 had no clue this was happening. If this was happening, what does that mean about other hidden sections within the TVA? Oh man, looks like we're gonna have to do a giant performance review, Hunter B-15, because this was unprofessional across all counts. Again, Paradox is supposed to represent Bob CHAPEK. I mean, his name is Paradox. It's Bob CHAPEK. But that honestly took me out of the movie just a little bit. What about Cassandra Nova? I thought you liked Cassandra Nova. I mean, I liked what Emma Corrin did as Cassandra Nova. I liked her portrayal of Cassandra Nova. I liked all of the things from Cassandra Nova in this movie. I just didn't like that her motivations were just so weak. She is one of my favorite X-Men villains to date. She committed mass mutant genocide. She is massively powerful. She overtook the body of Charles Xavier as an adult. There's just so many things of this character that just makes her a real threat for the multiverse in actuality. But she was massively wasted. For what? For what? For nothing. Honestly, she's Cassandra Nova in looks and name only. They did mention Charles Xavier, and they did mention that she is her twin. But how do you mention Charles Xavier and to mention that she is her twin and not even show a single Charles? You have two to choose from, and you couldn't afford a single one. You could afford Elektra, but not James McAvoy. Ah, man, oh man. Literally, Cassandra Nova could have been anyone else, but that was not the case. She legit has no main ties to the main characters whatsoever, and they only needed her to get back to the main universe. So Cassandra Nova was really a human MacGuffin, and that, again, did not sit well with me at all. Genuinely, since I saw the Giant Man base in the trailer, I thought that these characters were all going to be from one universe in which Cassandra Nova used Wolverine, basically made Wolverine kill his versions of the X-Men because she might have tricked him into thinking that they were villain. Sounds like Old Man Logan, doesn't it? That would have made this story a lot more compelling, as Cassandra Nova would have been directly involved with the pruning and the destruction of the entirety of the Fox universe. Nope! Apparently, we were just told that humans killed the X-Men while Logan was having a few drinky drinks at the bar. Even though he can't get drunk because his healing factor won't let him. Again, what the f***? Levy, do your homework. You just can't say, oh, this Wolverine's gonna get drunk because we need him to. Fuck all the way off, Levy. I'm tired of convenient writing. But anyway, without further explanation of how regular human beings manage to waltz right into the X-Mansion and kill superpowered Omega level mutants, in my head, I'm like, how is any of this Logan's fault? How is this any of it on Logan? If anything, if the X-Men could not fight off a bunch of humans, regular humans, kinda sounds like the X-Men of his universe were all little bitches to me. Honestly, Wolverine's explanation of humans killing the X-Men and then him going berserk and killing humans, going all Anakin on everyone, did not work for me. I was expecting way more, as you know, and I was hoping it was directly Logan's fault, not indirectly. Oh god, poor Logan's being gaslit, man. At the very least, Logan should have name dropped just anyone, OTZ, the Purifier, something, anything that makes sense. But no, his universe's X-Men are just basic ass bitches. Seriously, there's barely an explanation as to why anything in the Void, or why even the Void, was even a thing. It kind of just felt like the Void just had to be part of the story because it just had to be. Yet very small thinking and very small scale storytelling throughout the movie because of the Void. What a waste of great characters. I had thought we were going to get maybe even see Cassandra Nova using Alioth as a placeholder Master Mold Sentinel, and she was going to use Alioth to destroy the Fox universe, and we'd get cameos, mostly blink and you miss it, but we'd get cameos that we could maybe even afford. They would be eaten by Alioth, so the ones remaining in the Void would make sense because everything else was already eaten by Alioth. I just cannot believe that they brought in Cassandra Nova to live action in this way, and that this is the public introduction to her. I just cannot believe it. First you take away her big thing in X-Men 97, and then you take away her? Unforgivable. Unfreaking forgivable. But what's even more unforgivable is the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine has the biggest plot hole and continuity break that I've ever seen, and barely anybody is talking about it. Apparently, the movie Logan is somehow in the Deadpool timeline, but it takes place in 2029 on an alternate timeline still, and in that timeline, Professor Xavier killed all of the X-Men because he had a bad headache. And we also saw the First Class X-Men in Deadpool 2, and Deadpool references both Charles Xavier's actors in Deadpool 1. So again, what the f***, Levy? This is what I'm talking about. You can't just say, oh, it's an X-Men film. They bring continuity all the time, because that is just essentially saying that proper storytelling does not matter. And again, I have big issues with that because I am a writer by nature, by trade, and I just don't like that. I don't like that at all. Because what is it saying? That the writer strikes didn't need to happen? Didn't matter? That it really truly didn't matter? Again, don't like that. Finally, the Deadpool Corp. Oh man, I'm in the minority here, and I'm not the only one who thought they were pretty disappointed with the Deadpool Corp, but I was very disappointed with the Deadpool Corp. I very much think that this was a massive waste of opportunity, a massive waste of potential to include various cameos and actors from people that he's worked with, like Walker Scobell as Kidpool, whom I believe was supposed to be Kidpool, but actor strikes prevented it. So who isn't part of SAG-AFTRA? Inez Reynolds. That's who. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that was the workaround, that they just had Inez Reynolds do it, but at the same time, what is the ethicalness of having your kid play this? But at the same time, oh, what a waste! What a waste! The whole scene. I know they're not CGI Deadpools, but they all looked CGI Deadpools, and very clearly. Some of them were very clearly not there, and it did not look very well. And I guarantee you that we were supposed to see Blake Lively, Matthew McConaughey as these Deadpools. But here's a question for you. We saw a welcome to Wrexham Deadpool, but how was Rob McElhenney not welcome to Wrexham Deadpool? How? Just how? And how was his scene cut? Oh my god. What a mess. What a mess. But the whole scene felt the most fan servicey to me, and I thought it was pretty cool, sure, but I just didn't really enjoy it quite as much because I felt like Sean Levy just needed someone's for Wolverine and Deadpool to slice and dice through with no consequence. Again, if we can't afford it or it seems cheap in execution, don't do it. I thought we were going to get a small Deadpool Corps, something similar to Loki, and how there's a couple Deadpools in the void and that they're all gonna go against Cassandra Nova, and that we would see Lady Deadpool and Deadpool Prime make out, because it would just be hilarious. The mad comic potential was right there, and now it's just wasted. Again, it was a very cool fight scene, but I didn't like it. The final shot of Deadpool and Wolverine jumping out of the bus was an epic shot ripped straight from the comics, and it did need a little bit of CGI work, but it was very epic. And that shot alone made the whole thing worth it. Turning it into a gag, that was a little too much. I just wanted to live in the moment. Ryan, why can't you just let us live in the moment? All right, let's talk about the mixed. What could possibly be mixed? Well, the cameos, and I mean all of the cameos. I thought about ranking them, but I decided I'm not gonna, mainly because I don't care. I never saw Blade. I refuse to watch Elektra. I don't care. And honestly, the rest of the cameos, like Juggernaut, Azazel, Lady Deathstrike, all of those were in names only because they weren't the original actors. They were stand-ins, and it was so obvious too. It was so bad. It was so bad, especially Lady Deathstrike. It just took me out of the movie. Once again, can't afford it, don't do it. But speaking on the Rebellion crew, they did think their cameos were pretty fun. I knew about Elektra. I mean, everyone knew about Elektra. But again, Elektra? You could afford Elektra, but you couldn't afford anyone else? Elektra? Elektra. Come on, man. I thought Blade made sense. I wasn't really like, oh, wow, woo, Blade. Because again, I've never seen it. I thought that made sense. And Laura was spoiled for me. I never saw the final trailer, but the internet isn't sacred. So it was very much spoiled for me. And I didn't actually know about Johnny Storm actually for about a few years now. I heard a rumor that Chris Evans was talking to Marvel about returning to Marvel, but not as Captain America. And it was a very, very like swept under the rug rumor that Marvel kind of like crowd controlled at that time, and is very close to the first rumors of a multiverse and a Deadpool movie. So I thought that Captain America was going to come back as Johnny Storm, but I thought he was going to come back as Johnny Storm in Secret Wars, not in Deadpool and Wolverine. So that was actually pretty cool. That was a good surprise nonetheless, even though I did know about it. And it was pretty cool to see Johnny Storm for like 10 seconds. Again, Ugh. Out of all of the cameos, I feel Johnny Storm or someone from any Fantastic Four would have made the Resistance so much better. I would have made the cameos that much better, but I understand why not. Budget. The Fantastic Four all have visual powers, so of course, Blade, X-23, Gambit has a little bit of VFX, but it really wasn't that much. And Elektra, they all basically just fight. So the budget was already gonna go into Gambit's very little VFX, as it were. It would have been so much funny if since we had heard about Reed at the beginning of the movie, if we had gotten a Reed Richards at the end of the movie, but it wasn't Chris Evans' Reed, but it ended up being the Fantastic Four stick Josh Trink's Reed, and Deadpool would be like, ah, frick, we got this Reed, and then maybe that Reed could get killed off very quickly. I don't know. Why do we kill off a good Fantastic Four character? And we kept Elektra? Come on. If I did do a ranking, Johnny Storm would be dead last because it was so disappointing. But he was killed off in the most gruesome way in any comic book film ever. And again, the rest of the cameos were fine. They had thick plot armor though during that fight scene, which was just a little lackluster for me, not gonna lie. And I don't feel like any of them truly had moments to truly shine with their powers and their abilities. I know some people said, oh, but Gambit used his powers and abilities. Yeah, but we also saw him use his powers and abilities in X-Men 97, and that was a lot better if you ask me. And again, that just plays into what I've been saying this whole time. If you can't afford it, don't do it. But I did think Channing Tatum's Gambit was pretty spot on and pretty hilarious. Again, they were all cool, they were all fine. I just thought they were just fine. But what about the Wolverine cameos? Well, for one thing, Henry Cavill did not look good as Wolverine. This is on the same level of casting as John Krasinski as Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness. They were not great, but they were fine. I was also expecting way more cameos from other actors that people had fan cast as Wolverine within the Wolverine montage. I was expecting to see Daniel Radcliffe, Taron Egerton, but no, we got none of them. Why couldn't we? That would have made the most narrative sense, because then Deadpool would have been like, oh, no, wrong Wolverine, no, wrong actor. It just would have been so much better, because just seeing just a bunch of different Wolverines was just fan service to me. And I'm an X-Men fan, but I don't like fan service. We could have still had Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, comics accurate Wolverine versus Hulk Wolverine as Hugh Jackman, but having different actors again would have just made the whole thing much better and much stronger, rather. Not just better, but stronger. But that's just me though. Well, that is it. That was my spoiler review for Deadpool and Wolverine. Those were my nitpicks for the movie. It was long. That was a long discussion, but it was one that we needed to have. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about this movie? Once again, I gave this movie an 8.7 out of 10. I really wish I could give it some more. I really do, but I just cannot. Not with what I know the movie could have been. But with that being said, I do think that because none of the actors could come back with this, now we can save all of the original X-Men actors for Secret Wars. And if we don't get that, then I'm done. Let me know your comments, your ratings, your thoughts about Deadpool and Wolverine in the comments below. Check out my social media links for more, and I will see you later. You've just been Montified.